Marjorie Taylor Greene put out an ad, and I think, other than it being cringy, it reveals what we've already known for a very long time, which is these people are not promoting themselves as policymakers or lawmakers or attempting to materially improve your life. It's just a fun public show of we hate the left and we're cool and we're badasses and we shoot guns and all those things, right? And so I'm going to show you this ad that she is running of her hog hunting, okay? And there's nothing here. She talks about how we need to help the farmers. Doesn't say anything about how that's supposed to happen, but does show herself shooting hogs. And I really think there are voters who are going to love this and not even realize that you're voting for someone who's supposed to make laws for you, who's supposed to improve your life through the power they have to do that. And all they're giving you is a fun action film of them shooting hogs. Take a look.
We've got skyrocketing inflation, high diesel fuel, and Democrats' America Last policies.
Okay, so what are you proposing to decrease inflation, to decrease oil and gas costs, and to put America first? What are you actually proposing from a specific policy perspective? Nothing.
Democrats aren't the only one destroying farmers' ability to put food on the table. We've got wild hogs destroying farmers' fields. So we decided to go hog hunting. Let's help American farmers out. Sign up below and let's go in that helicopter and go hog hunting. Enter to win now.
And then ends on a slide that says, "Save America, stop communism." Excuse me, guys. Still getting over whatever the weird stuff I got going on. But that is what they're advertising to the voters. Save America, stop communism. Who's pushing communism within the Democratic Party? Question mark. Not sure. Who is... Just kidding. Who's preventing you from going hog hunting? Nobody. No. But what are you proposing to improve these farmers' lives besides, raffling off a hog hunting expedition with MTG? Which, as a side note, can you imagine? Can you imagine yourself going around in a helicopter and shooting hogs with Marjorie Taylor Greene? That would be a day and a half, ladies and gentlemen. That would be insane. But I do think, I've tried in my personal life, it fails, but I do think one of the messages that Democrats and liberals, people on the left need to repeatedly put out there is, I beg you, if you're on the right, to pay attention to how often your politicians and your media figures are proposing actual real world, tangible material change that could happen. And how often are they patronizing you by making themselves out to be action figures and memeing a bunch on Twitter and going after people on the left? How often are they doing either of those things? Because I see 99% and 1%. And there is some place for the public, political stunts. There's some place for the going after the other side in even comedic ways. Of course, fair enough. But how often are they talking about ways they're actually going to improve their life? And then whenever they criticize people that you don't like, is it followed up with the way in which they would do that better? Okay, so for example, I hear the criticism about, inflation time after time from people on the right. What percentage of the time within all those criticisms do I hear them follow it up with, and here's what I'm proposing to slow down inflation? Occasionally, they'll vaguely allude to the fact that the government has spent too much under Biden and that's what's caused inflation, which of course we understand is silly. The cause of the inflation we're seeing now is much of the pandemic response that happened during the peak of the pandemic. Who was president during the peak of the pandemic? Donald Trump. So absolutely so much money was spent during that time, which I think it had to be, but you should blame Trump if you actually think that just the government spending was the effect of inflation. We know there's a lot of other factors as well. But they don't propose how they're going to slow it down. And then same thing with gas prices, same thing with all of these things. You don't want someone who can just repeat problems that you already know exist, right? That's something I think people need to understand. Just because Marjorie Taylor Greene is able to say the words, hey, this is a problem in the country, and you see it as a problem, doesn't mean that she has the ability to fix the problem. You need to hear the identification of the problem, and then, just as, if not more importantly, the identification of the solution that she's proposing, which you will never hear from someone like Marjorie Taylor Greene. Instead, again, she will patronize you by putting out an ad showing her shooting hogs and saying, I'm going to stop communism. Okay.